So, I've been a self described atheist for all of my adult life. Now, on August 30th, 2025, I accepted Jesus and I became a Christian. Now, I felt like there may be some value in making this video because my decision kind of came in a way that's different than what I normally see online or from other people that I've talked to. So, I grew up in Northern California. My parents were Christian, but I never really seemed to connect with it. I want to experience everything outside of it, right? Like it was just too rigid for me. And back then, as I was growing up, social media was new. So MySpace came out, Facebook starts coming out. Now there's this access to all this information that's new and exciting, and I start seeing myself be surrounded with secular and atheistic messaging. Did you know this was derived from that, or these people at this time did this thing, or more interesting moral things like what kind of loving God would do X, or did you know the Bible says this? How could you possibly justify it? And I've never had to be challenged before in this way, and that was so exciting to me because it made me feel as if I had been sheltered my whole life, and now there's this whole new world to explore where truth and reality lies out there, and I need to go and search for it. So I quickly jumped into, following the Richard Dawkins and the Christopher Hitchens types, and I started watching these debates like Christianity versus atheism, where I got to see these logical arguments that challenges my worldview, like the God of the Gaps argument, or, like on morality, where you'd see a Christian say, without God, where could your morality even come from? And an atheist would say, well, if you need God in order to know not to kill someone, then I should be afraid of you. And that's funny to me. And it made so much sense because morality is so simple and second nature that I feel like everyone should feel that way. What possible reason could you need God for morality? That should just be a secular thing. So at this point, I thought if God is real, he should reveal himself to me, and that became my barometer for God, is that he needs to give me some form of undeniable spiritual encounter that eliminates all doubt that I could possibly have, and then I'll believe that God is real. So I take this new ideology and I run with it. And I'm so excited to take on the world. I want to challenge everyone, debate everyone, show them that they just haven't been educated, that they need to understand that they're wrong. And, who's the first group of people I do this to? Well, I'm close with my family, so I immediately turn on my family and I start examining their Christianity and start picking things apart and start twisting things to make them a moral bad and start trying to challenge them. How can you possibly be okay with this? And the funny thing is my parents are the nicest people. They're very charitable. There's nothing that I can even point to that is like this right here that they're doing is a moral wrong. There's nothing that I can even think of, but I would not stop badgering them on this, right? And I was like that for a good 7 years, maybe even eight, up until one of my close friends comes to me, and he's one of these rare conservative atheists where he's like, why are you so angry? And I'm like, well, what about the Crusades? And he's like, that was 800 years ago. You have to go that far back to be angry? I'm like, well, Westboro Baptist Church. And he was like, dude, that's like 30 people on the other side of the country. What's making you so upset about everything? And I thought about this and I realized that I've never actually had a negative interaction with Christians. Like, even when I'm being obnoxious, they're always nice and respectful. They've got these great families, these great situations going on. They do good things, charitable work, and everything. Like, there's nothing I can really point to that's negative there. And then it hits me that maybe I just don't know anything. And when that hits me, all of a sudden, I kind of get this level of humility where I'm like, okay, I'm an atheist, right? I can't believe in this stuff. I'm an atheist. But if these guys, if what they believe provides good outcomes, is not hurting anyone, then there's no reason why I should be against that. I should be for it. And I start becoming more of a conservative atheist. Now, culturally, the first thing that I really felt was off was when I saw Drag Queen Story Hour. So here you have these adult men, oftentimes sex offenders, that are in drag, which drag is sexual in nature, and they go to these libraries, and these women bring all these children and toddlers to these libraries to sit down and have these sexualized men read children's stories to them. And all I can think of is every adult in this scenario needs to be arrested. And that's because I had never seen this line crossed before between sexuality and children, but it was something that people were okay with because it was packaged as a moral good through the guise of compassion. But if that wasn't edgy enough, it all of a sudden starts being coupled with demonic imagery. And this is where it lost me, because it's like, what purpose could this serve? This is already dark and weird. But if you're packaging something in the form of compassion, you're trying to open it up and get everyone to accept it. But if you're gonna like put demonic imagery in it, you're like literally pushing so many people away from it, making people reject it, that it makes no sense. It's antithetical to its purpose. So what purpose could that possibly serve, right? Now, the first thing that started moving me towards the direction of Christianity was the rise of transgenderism, where now you have all these confused kids that want to identify in these weird, confusing ways. They want people to participate in this. And all I'm thinking is we need to sort out these confused kids, right? That should be simple. But I was blown away at how fast the culture was to protect it and start promoting it and saying that we should all accept this and be part of the delusion, and like help them with their, or like help them be confused inside their confusion. What are we doing here, right? And then if that wasn't far enough, they start bringing up, whoa, we could chemically alter these kids and then eventually surgically alter these kids. And I'm like, dude, this is so wrong. How can it be that not everyone understands that this is so incredibly wrong? And then I see this guy in Canada stand up to it, Jordan Peterson, and I'm like, this guy gets it. Like this guy's seeing what I'm seeing. He understands and he's articulating in a way that makes sense. I need to follow this guy. So when he came out with 12 Rules for Life, I jumped on that book faster than anything. And I read a lot of books, but I that book has provided me the most value out of any other book that I've read for me. Like when I read this book, I changed my direction, I changed my career, I got married, started having kids, and I started making 3 and sometimes 4 times as much money than what I was used to making. But even with all that, the most important thing that I felt like I got from that book is it gave me this orientation, this grounding that I could look around from and understand the world. And it gave me this awareness of this dark psychological confusion that's possessing the minds of all these people around me, where they're just lost and they have taken on all these poor self-destructive behaviors, and they have no direction and no way out. And I'm just watching this culture devolve around me. And so this devolution of the culture just came so fast that there's no longer any moral guidelines. So kids start being invited to all ages gay and trans events. Like relationships start becoming materialistic and valueless, and the family unit starts dissolving. Everyone can see their local waitress on OnlyFans, and men are paying for that garbage. Society is creating race based standards. The sexualization of children is everywhere. And I'm left with this one question, which is, how come every place that's disconnected from the idea of God is devolving into the darkest parts of humanity? And at this point, I start seeing this dividing line in where the culture has gotten so far out of hand that I'm literally just using my eyes. I'm using my eyes and I'm seeing like visibly this cultural divide where I can see these Christians and their cultures and their families and their good behaviors and their positivity, their happiness, their charitability, like all these great things. And then I look over here and everything seems so dark, so lost. It's hedonistic, it's ungrateful, it's entitled. and everyone is defending the poor character that came along with all that. Like they're saying, "Oh yeah, don't judge, that's a moral wrong. Don't shame, that's bad. Don't hold people to standards cuz standards are just a form of judgment." And they want to be lost in this individualistic just erosion of culture, and just using my eyes is starting to point me in the direction of, just seeing it Christianity. But I'm not a spiritual person, so that's not enough for me, right? So the next thing I notice is when the culture devolves enough, it starts becoming coupled with satanic imagery. So there's Drag Queen Story Hour, and then of course you've got the Lil Nas X videos, which you guys have seen those. You've got one year at the Grammys, they have Sam Smith up there in straight bondage gear in satanic attire. This is an all ages televised event, and I'm thinking this is so gross and disgusting. Why is this okay? And why would they even put satanic imagery on this? This is absolutely crazy. Then in 2023, the Los Angeles Dodgers feature the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. Now, this group is a pro-trans activist group that dresses themselves up as satanic Catholic imagery. So this blew me away because this isn't, standard satire or mockery. This is a religious inversion. And even as an atheist, this is grounds that you don't touch, right? Because not only is it bad faith, it's mean spirited, and there's no reason to do something this dark and grotesque. It's usually a back alley thing with a bunch of weirdos, but now you have this massive, massive business organization, the Los Angeles Dodgers, featuring the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. And this makes no business sense because there's so many religious people that watch sports that you're just going to turn off a bunch of people from watching it and lose a ton of money. This is such a massive anti-business move that at this point I'm thinking there's got to be something that I'm missing here. This just doesn't make any sense. So at this point, I start contacting Christian friends of mine. I have Christian friends all over the country. And so now I'm reaching out, probing into Christianity, trying to figure things out. And unfortunately, not too many people want to have a theological discussion with an atheist. So there's that. But no matter who I talked to, whether it was friends or people that I ran into in the wild, they all gave me the exact same thing, which was, well, you know what you're not going to want to do is you're not going to want to talk to this type of Christian. You know what you're not going to want to do? You're not going to want to talk to this type of Christian. Don't talk to Pentecostals, they're weird. Don't talk to Calvinists, they believe crazy things. Don't talk to the Orthodoxy, they're rigid. Nobody wants me to talk to Catholics. And so here I am. I'm someone on the outside that's searching for something to hold on to. And all I'm being given is what not to hold on to. And that's making me more confused because I'm not involved in that world. I'm from the outside trying to find something. So now I'm afraid of stepping into any church because is it all subjective? I don't know. Should I look online? What would I do? And so, like, this thing in and of itself kept me from walking into a church for about an extra year longer than I think it should have been, just because I was afraid to do it, right? So now I'm staying, where I'm at on the outside, still paying attention to the culture, trying to figure these things out. And then the Olympics happened. And this was a massive, brick to the face, really, where here is the largest all ages televised, international event. And it's promoting alternative and casual sexuality, which has no business being there on a world stage. That is crazy to me. And like, how am I supposed to let my kids watch it? It's crazy. And then if that's not enough, you have this mock Last Supper with a bunch of trans people and Dionysus. So here's this massive religious inversion that's being projected to the entire world. And all I can think of is this is a massive organization that's whole role is to be a business and make money. That's its number one focus, is making money. And this is one of the most anti-business moves I could think of because it's turning off people from all across the world, not just for this year, but for the future Olympics as well. Why would you hurt your brand so bad that you would do something like this? And at this point, I know I'm missing something. I know that there's something very clearly wrong that I'm missing, and I don't know what any of this is, but I know that I want to run as far away from this as I possibly can in the opposite direction. So that's really what I did. Who are they mocking? Well, they're mocking Christians. There's got to be a reason for that. So I walked into the church that's closest to my house. Now, I figured that if I attended church every single week, that just the immersion of it would start to help sort out my thoughts and help me make sense of all of these things, right? And, when I got to this church, there's this really nice family that invited me to a small group Bible study. I decided to attend that. At this Bible study, the guy that ran it is incredibly intelligent and he took a really strong interest in what I was going through. So he spent a lot of time working me through these thoughts and ideas and stuff. But keep in mind, I'm not a spiritual person. So as much as I'm learning, I'm not really moving that needle towards Christianity as much as I should. But then before the last election, the DNC was held, and they feature a Planned Parenthood setup where women can come and get their abortions there at an event. And this is so dark and so grotesque to me that if there is evil in the world, it is that. And so now I'm thinking the culture is so morally corrupt that Christianity has got to be the right direction, right? I'm not there yet, but everything is forcing me there, and maybe I should already be there. And after attending this church for some time, I felt like I was getting a decent understanding, but I still wish that I could experience something undeniably spiritual just to push me over this edge. Because I still couldn't come to terms that morality couldn't be attained in a secular way. And then I came across this debate video. It was this Christian versus secular debate where this Christian, Andrew Wilson, demonstrated how secularism cannot provide objective morality. It's impossible. And he broke it down in a way that's perfect for a secular person to understand it logically, and I needed this. I needed to sort this out where I was just like, "Oh my gosh. He's right. There's no actual way for secularism to provide this, right?" And so now I have this untangled in my mind, so I'm even closer and I'm dragging my feet. Everything logically makes sense. And so I'm up against this wall between I'm logically there, but I'm not faithfully there, right? I need some reason for this leap of faith to push me in this direction. And then the Annunciation shooting happened. And this was a really sad dark moment, and it wasn't that long. I mean, it had to have been the next day before all media and social media were mocking thoughts and prayers. And as an atheist, like prayers never bothered me. They're essentially just thoughts, it's like thoughts can be used to cope, they can help people through that, but externally they don't have any effect. So to me, it's valueless, but nothing to mock. You usually would mock something that has some form of real value. And I know that thoughts and prayers is an anti Second Amendment talking point, but I'm seeing this happen and it just seems like mocking the victim. Like they're mocking the ideology of the people that this happened to, which already seems wrong and ill advised. But because this was happening, all I could think of was if they're going through all of this to mock and demonize prayers, then there must be some sort of value in it that's making them do that. And I couldn't get that out of my head, so I hit up the person from the small group that's been helping me, and I said, I'm ready to do this. I knew that it was time that I should, give my life to Christ. And so I met up with him And that's what I did. And even though I wanted a spiritual encounter to remove all doubt, maybe it's enough that we can see the physical manifestation of the spiritual all around us. I mean, I just been using my eyes this whole time and I can see it pretty clear as day. So now I'm new to Christianity, and one of the things that I am going to do with this channel is I want to use the resources it provides me to explore the faith as a new Christian. Because if God is real and if Christianity is true, then I don't believe it's right for me to find the denomination that I agree with. I believe I should try to understand what is the most objective form and submit myself to that. So if any of you have someone for me to talk to over these videos, I want to use this channel in part to explore that journey. And if that's something that you have an interest in, then feel free to follow that journey here. Thanks for listening.